double-edged sword of teaching about Christmas to my students in China. As part of the requirement, as a teacher, you must teach culture and holidays, and especially the big ones. Although, as a foreigner, you can't really discuss religion or things like that. So you're kind of in a, you're not allowed to say anything, but you must say something. It's a really big double-edged sword. So what I did to solve this, number one, whether or not you do or do not believe in Jesus, Christian, or whatever you are, right? Doesn't matter. Christmas is Christmas. It's something that we celebrate in America, and pretty much most parts of the world, usually Christian influence, right? So what happens is you have to go in and explain to them Christmas. Of course, there's Santa, there's the retail side, there's the gift giving, the gift receiving, Secret Santa, lots of fun, amazing things. And then you have to be like, oh, and let me tell you why Christmas even started. So that is the awkwardness, and that is a thing that I had to face. What I did is a couple things. You have to realize Christmas is essentially absolutely ridiculously meaningless if you don't explain Easter. Simply put. I mean, you look really dumb talking about this baby that was saved versus all the other kids, and you know how he's more important, and they're like, why? And so then you're like, hold on, let me backtrack, let me go over to like April now and talk about Easter. So that's one thing. If you are going to do, and I'm kind of saying this for people who are in the same situation, if you go to a different country, especially China, obviously, and you are required to teach this cultural aspect. It's a requirement. And you have to walk on glass, essentially, but you got to teach it. So you're going from the very basics. You kind of have to jump over to April and say, okay, let me quickly explain Easter. And then you can see why it was important and why we celebrate Christmas, right? So you jump over, you go to Easter, and you say, okay, you know, he was born, he did all this, and then he died, and yada, yada, right? So that's your thing. Then you have to explain why the birth of this person was actually important. Then you can go over Christmas. Now, this is the tiptoe. You can't refer necessarily to the Bible. You can't necessarily say your beliefs, but you can say what I found. Personal experience. You have to go on your own. This is just personal. I am not a professional on this or whatever, but this is what helped me. So just so you know, that's my disclaimer. What I did is I said, you know, people believe, or it has been said, right? And you say, you know, this child who is born, the importance is because he would later die for this belief of people who are of the Christian faith, yada, yada. You just go over and put it on the block of people. And then you explain his birth, his parents, everything around that time, and what was important, gifts, all of that. The reason why I'm telling you to go to Easter and to step lightly, I actually, multiple times in this lesson, said to my students, Google it. And then I realized they're not even using Google because it was half blocked, half not at the time. It might be blocked again, who knows, right? Anyway, so it was an awkward one, and some of them, there were a couple Christians in my class, and I said, you guys discuss it among yourselves. I'm not allowed, right? And they all knew. And I was like as open as I possibly could, and I said, you know, I would love to explain these things, but you guys understand I'm under different conditions, and I think you're all intelligent enough to figure this out. Where you can talk, I'll give you the overview, and then you fill in the rest. And honestly, you have to be honest with your students. They're smart. I mean, I was teaching university students. I think it's pretty obvious, you know, like they can grasp like a lot. They're smart, super smart. Anyhow, with this one, it was important to say. So, on top of that, the really big awkward thing is they kept having the military police. It wasn't like a regular policeman, you know, just chilling. It was like the military, back and forth, and they knew my lesson plan. Like, you have to let them know everything you're going to be teaching, right? They knew that that was the week that I would be talking about Christmas, and Jesus would come up, religious, whatever, Bible would be there. And yet they required. So it's just the big double-edged sword. And if you teach English as a second language and you're required to teach culture and holidays in China, from my experience, that was the best way to go, because it was like a really rough struggle. They did have the military police come in, listen a few times. I mean, I guess debating whether I was okay or not. Did I step over the line? I think I treaded lightly, and I did very well. Wishing you the best. That was a couple, I guess, tips for you if you're going to be teaching that. Something I encountered, and it was actually a wonderful experience for me. I hadn't thought of those things for years, quite frankly. So it's kind of fun to teach to other people. I, in general, like to read about all different religions, so I find it fascinating. And what I found fascinating also was being stopped from just a basic conversation. So, and I guess another moral of the story is absolutely grateful for freedom of speech. There you go. So good luck in your lessons. I hope you enjoy it. And if you are in China teaching English as a second language, congratulations. It is amazing. Be in the moment. Love it. Do your best. I am hoping to post some more hints and tips and awesome things that I've encountered there. Oh, and please subscribe to my channel. I remember. Thanks.